Hello everyone and welcome, my name is Nate, and this is Ark Survival Evolved, the game just released via the Xbox One preview program about a week ago. Now that said, it's also been on Steam via Early Access for quite a few months before, and across both versions, I personally have probably acquired at least a little over 50 hours of playtime on this game, so I'm a little bit experienced. And one of the biggest issues that I had when I first started this game was that there was no tutorials. I didn't know the control scheme. I didn't know what the icons or anything like that meant when I first got started. So that's what this video is going to try and address and try and get covered and out of the way in case you're new. Now, keep in mind, this video is geared towards the Xbox One side of the game. So if you're interested in PC, the mechanics and everything are still largely going to be the same, but the control schemes that I mentioned are obviously going to be different, even if you're playing on the PC with an Xbox One controller. So, with that said, this is the screen you will see when you first load up a new Ark server or create your own single-player Ark world. It is a character customization screen in which you can customize your character's appearance, but it's rather limited in that regard. And hopefully that'll improve by the game's full release in June of 2016, which, keep in mind, this game is a preview build. It's not fully completed yet, so a lot of the things that I'm going to say in this tutorial are subject to change. Some things may be removed. There may be essential game mechanics added, and there also, the PlayStation 4 version will not come out until the game's official release in June 2016. So if you're playing PS4, you're going to have to wait a little while. But as I said before, this is the screen you'll be approached with whenever you join a new server or create your own new Ark world. And keep in mind, your character that you create here, his level, his gear, his stuff, everything about this character will only work on the server you're playing on. Say I join a server called Bob's PvP, and I create a character named Bob Saget, right? Well, Bob Saget and his level, say Bob Saget's level 13, I will only have access to Bob Saget on John's PvP, or on Bob's PvP, right? I will only have access to that character on the server I created him on. If I join a different server, I'm going to have to create an entirely new character. But that said, if I want to go back to the other server in which I created Bob Saget, I can play as him as well. So just keep that in mind. Your character progression will not carry over between different servers, as that could obviously be abused. But anyway, so this is the character customization screen. Obviously rather limited. You can really just customize your height, your gender, your skin color, things like that. We're not really going to mess around with that. We're going to name our character. We will name our character Nate. We'll name him Nate Snuggleton. I like that name. Nate Snuggleton. Okay, okay, there we go. So we've got our name, and now we need to select a place to spawn. You'll see this little menu here. It says spawn region. So you'll see something that'll say East Zone 1, in parentheses it'll say medium, North Zone 1, in parentheses it'll say hard. Now, what that word in the parentheses means, easy, medium, or hard, is basically the difficulty level of that region you're going to spawn in. Every region has a different difficulty level relevant to the level of hostile creatures in there, as well as the weather conditions. Say I spawn in, North Zone 1, right? It's hard. So there's going to be high-level dinosaurs, level 32s, level 60s. There's going to be T-Rexes, and the weather conditions are going to be bad. It'll either be freezing or very high. But say I spawn in a South Zone, one of the easier zones, then weather conditions are going to be very temperate. The enemies are going to be very low-level dinosaurs and very easy to take out. So if you're just starting this game and you just want to get a good feel for it, I recommend you spawn in the South Zone like I'm about to do. So we're going to create our survivor. Give it a minute to load. It's a little bit choppy here, but once you get past that, you will spawn in quite successfully. Now, once you spawn in, first things first, immediately pause your game and go to Game Options. Turn your gamma correction scale all the way up. Now, this may not be necessary for you, and you can find out later, but this game has a lot of lighting issues, and especially at nighttime, where it's literally impossible to see anything, even if you have a torch. So I recommend you keep your gamma up high. So this is Ark. This is the world. It's pretty nice looking. There's a few texture bugs here and there, but this is it. So what you want to do when you start off is press the B button. This will bring up your inventory and your inventory items. Every player starts off with the Specimen Implant. This is useful if you're playing on servers and you kill someone. You can look at their Specimen Implant and it will tell them their name. As you can see, mine says vernacular, okay, I don't know how to say that word, vernacular ID Nate Snuggleton. That is my player name. Now, after accessing your inventory, which we'll do a little more fiddling around here later, press right bumper to access craftables. You'll see these things called Engrams. An engram is basically just a crafting recipe for something. Now, we only have 2 of these, but to get more, you will have to go over to this menu here called View Engrams and purchase engrams, or crafting recipes, using engram points. Once you purchase a crafting recipe or an engram, you can then build it. Now, the way to earn these engrams is by leveling up. Every time you level up, you gain a certain amount of engram points. Early on, it's relatively high. So now that we've got that out of the way, press Y as your interact button. Y is pretty much the default thing for opening doors, picking things up, opening boxes and crates, things like that. So see, I approach this rock and I press Y, it will add a stone. Say I go to this plant and press Y, it will pick some berries and fiber from it. So that's pretty useful. All right, now with that said, I want you to look at the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. You will see first a cross. This cross represents your health, as you could probably imagine. Above that, you will see a lightning bolt. This represents stamina. When your stamina is depleted, you won't be able to sprint, you won't be able to jump, and you won't be able to punch or anything of that nature, or hit anything, even if you have a tool. Above that, you will see a leg of ham. This represents your hunger. As long as that's full, you're fine. But once this ham is fully depleted, you will then be starving, and you will pass out and starve to death. Above that is a water droplet. This obviously represents your thirst. Once this water droplet is depleted, that means you haven't got enough water, and you will pass out and dehydrate to death. And finally, above that is it's a weight, but it represents your carry weight. The fuller that is, the slower you move. And above that, you'll see an arrow with a cross. We'll get into that later. Entirely relevant now. So now that we've got this down, you can probably imagine the way to eat is by killing things and eating them. This dodo bird, for instance, we'll call him Frank. We need food. So to take out Frank, press the right trigger to punch. We're going to punch Frank and take his... Okay, there we go. We've punched Frank, and you can see he's not dead. He's actually unconscious, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to finish him off real quick. And we're going to continue to punch him. And this will give us more raw meat the more we punch his corpse. It'll also give us hide. So once his corpse disappears, no more food can be extracted. So now we've got some raw meat to eat. About dehydration, simply approach water and press Y, and this will drink from it. So now that we've got our two hunger bars and thirst bar down, now I'm going to show you how craftables work. So say I want to craft a stone pick. I need one stone, which I've already got more than enough of, and I need wood and thatch. The way to acquire these is to punch a tree. This will give you thatch. Now, when you punch almost anything, it will reduce your health. Unless you're using a tool to do this, then your health is going to slightly degrade. So as you can see, we've gotten some thatch, we've gotten some wood, and we also have a level up available. But first, before we get into that, we're going to craft this stone pick. And now, once we get this all nice and crafted, we can go over and select it in our inventory. Press right trigger to equip something. You can also press right trigger over any item of food to consume it. This also applies for raw meat, but keep in mind, raw and spoiled products, when consumed, will lower your health. If you want to consume a meat or something of that nature, you'll have to cook it first. This doesn't apply to berries as much, but berries can get spoiled as well as meat, and spoiled food will always hurt your health. So as you can see, I'm hitting the stone now with my pickaxe, and it's adding some stone. And this is a pretty nice way. As you can see, also, my health isn't being degraded by this. I'm just hitting the stone, and no health is going down, but my stamina is. Keep this in mind when fighting with other players or trying to attack any creature. Eventually, you will run out of stamina. You won't be able to hit back, and you won't be able to run, and you will just get decimated by whatever it is. But now we're going to go ahead. We're going to use our level up. Every time you level up, you will get to upgrade one of your attributes, whether it be health, stamina, your lung capacity, food, or time it takes to starve to death, I guess, your thirst, your weight. Whenever you upgrade one of these things, it improves that. I highly recommend, if you're playing a multiplayer server, to upgrade movement speed. The reason being is that players love to chase you around, and you'll want to chase down other players, especially early in the game when melee and primitive weapons are so important. So I highly recommend you prioritize this. So now you can see we've leveled up, and we also have 8 engram points to spend. So we're going to purchase the spear engram or crafting recipe for 3 engram points. And now, once we get the necessary tools and equipment, we can craft ourselves a spear. I will also learn it for campfire. Campfires are essential if you want to cook meats. So now say I want to build a spear. I need some more wood. To get wood, I will need to hit a tree repeatedly. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do that, and that'll finish us off. So we're going to hit this, and we're going to get a lot of thatch. Whenever you're hitting a tree with anything other than an axe, mind you, I'm hitting it with a pickaxe now, but whenever you're hitting a tree with anything but an actual tree axe, it's mainly just going to give you thatch. When you hit it with an actual axe, however, you'll get a lot more wood. So now I've done that, and we've got ourselves our first spear, which we can now craft and equip in our inventory. Keep in mind, you can also move items into your hotbar by selecting them and dragging them down to your quick slot items, or quick item slot. So we'll drag both our spear and our stone pick down there, and to access them, we will hold left bumper, and I'll tap B, and that will bring up my spear. So spears are pretty cool. They're pretty much almost essential for early game hunting and fending off other players. They're not too big. If you're going up against well-armored players, they're not going to be that useful, as well as well-prepared dinosaurs, like the bigger sort of dinosaurs, the Broncosauruses and Brontos, you'll probably want to tackle with bows and arrows. But for things like this dodo bird, you can easily use a spear to get that job done, as well as fighting off lesser prepared players. So anyways, guys, this covers the first tutorial. Hopefully I'll have some more out covering some more advanced things such as dinosaur taming and things of that nature. But for now, this will finish us off. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this taught you something new. Oh, we killed it. I did not expect that to happen. Oh, baby. All right. Well, hopefully you learned something new through this tutorial. Hopefully you got at least something out of it. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.